Hello, hello. This is a tier list video for the latest Pokemon Unite Autochess patch. It was a pretty big patch. I'm Sonic Sheepy. I'm currently ranked 41 on the global leaderboards. And I do tier lists for individual mons, comps, recommended moves, best items, etc. Basically everything that you need to know to win more games of Pokemon Unite Autochess. So without further ado, let's just jump right into the tier list for this patch. Gardevoir. I think Gardevoir is just okay. It has good synergy early game, at least with Psychic and the skilled ability. It's just an okay character. Pikachu is also similar in that vein. Pikachu and Zura has a pretty good early game synergy together as well. Pikachu is also played late game in a few comps when you're running Electric, and you want to switch to Volt Tackle when you do that, just to give your team a whole team-wide buff of 20% attack speed. Crustle, unfortunately, is just a forgotten character. Rock synergy is pretty bad, and Crustle itself is also pretty weak. Charizard is actually surprisingly okay. It has a pretty good ult at 2-star, and it has pretty good synergies early game because it's fire. Mamoswine, I would say, is kind of between okay and weak, but because it's a solid tank, I'm going to put it in okay for now. It's going to help you a bit in the early game, but you eventually want to move on from it. Zoroark is just a weak character, not much to say. Dark Synergy is pretty bad right now, and Zoroark itself is also not that strong. Machamp is mainly just there for fighting synergy with Lucario early game. So by itself, it's not a great character. You kind of just put it in to tank for the Machamp or tank for the Lucario, and to have fighting synergy active. Venusaur is a bit tricky. I would say it's between okay and weak, but I think it's more okay just because Grass Synergy is pretty good early game, and also Sludge Bomb is a pretty decent ability too. Cramorant. Cramorant used to be really strong in Season 1, but this season, I would say it's probably in between okay and good, but I'm going to leave it okay for now. Cramorant with 2 stars and alt move has really good damage output, especially in the early game, but it's not a complete hyper carry like it was in Season 1. Okay, Trevenant. I think Trevenant is either in amazing or good. So Trevenant is absolutely amazing if you have Grass Synergy active, just because it has so much HP and never dies. But if you don't have as much Grass Synergy active, it's just a good character overall. Like, probably the best one-cost tank. So I'm going to leave it in good for now, but note that if you have a lot of Grass Synergy active, it's easily an amazing character. Azumarill. Azumarill is probably on the weaker side. I would say, yeah, probably on the weaker side. You really only put Azumarill in for Fairy Synergy. That's about it. Umbreon. Umbreon is, I would say it's an okay character. I know it got a few buffs this patch, but I haven't seen it played or being played too much. Although, I think it's a better tank than the likes of, say, Mamoswine, so I'm going to put an okay along with, or good tier along with Trevenant. However, Umbreon is still not played much overall, just because Dark Synergy is not very popular right now. Baratic. Baratic is just a good character. It did get a few nerfs, but it still just has an amazing ult, and just makes your entire team so much tankier. And very strong with Ice Synergy. Leafeon. Leafeon is a solid 2-cost character, especially if you're going Grass Comp. Not much to say. Cinderace. Cinderace is actually pretty good. It can easily carry you through the mid-game. It has a really good ult. The ult was changed from Season 1, so now the ult gives you a brief window where you're vulnerable before putting out a lot more damage. And Cinderace is just a really solid early game character. Same with Mime. Also a very solid early to mid-game character. Really good tank, lots of healing, and of course, Fairy Synergy is very helpful as well. Lucario. I would say Lucario is between okay and good. You really only use Lucario in the early game right now with Machamp, unless you're going for a full fighting comp. And I would say because E-Speed doesn't dash to the furthest opponents like it did in Season 1 anymore, it would probably just be an okay. Definitely a good character in the early game. Probably it's between okay and good, but we'll leave it okay for now. Tinkaton is a good character. It got nerfed this patch. Attack speed went way down, but its ability in Ice Hammer is just so useful in disrupting enemy Pokemons and making them unable to use their moves. Plus, it's very synergy, so bonus points for that. Blastoise. I would say Blastoise is up there alongside Umbreon as a tank. Probably even better than Umbreon. And side note, the characters are not ordered within a tier, so I would say like Blastoise is technically better than Umbreon, but I'm just gonna put it in the same tier. So they're not ordered within the tier. Blastoise has good healing, very tanky, and the only thing it's lacking really is that it has bad synergies. Decidueye, also a good character, maybe not as strong as Cinder, with 2 items and ults. I think Cinder is a little bit better in that regard. But Decidueye is still a really solid early game, mid game carry. Delphox, I think, is definitely weaker than Cinder. So it's still a good character, but weaker than Cinder a bit. Zeraora, I would say, is just okay. It's not too strong or too weak at any phase of the game, really. It's good early game with Pika, just for electric synergy. But otherwise, it's kind of just okay. It's not the greatest tank, even if you put ult on it. Cerulege is a good character, very good at diving enemy backlines, and also fire synergy is pretty strong. Arbok is a little bit tricky. So the problem with Arbok is that it's actually a really solid early game tank. Like, it's really, really tanky early game. Probably more tanky than Umbreon, especially at 1 star. The problem is, Poison synergy is just so bad right now because it relies on emblems exclusively, and it's just so gimmicky that Poison feels impossible to play. For that reason, you really don't see Arbok being played at all past the early game, and for that reason, I'm going to put it in weak. It's just very hard to make it work after the first few rounds. A9, very solid character. Got a pretty big buff to Blizzard this season, and also has a pretty decent ult. Glaceon. Glaceon is in the same vein, just a really solid Ice-type character. Ice Energy is also pretty decent right now, even though it did get nerfed a bit. Still a good character, has lots of good damage output, has a decent ult as well, so nothing wrong with that. Zapdos. Zapdos is probably in between okay and good, but I think it's more so good. It does contribute a lot to electric type synergy, because it adds a lot of electric stacks via both of its moves. It also has a decent ult. Eldegoss is absolutely broken. Eldegoss is just so amazing right now, because it's the best healer in the game. Like, out heals Clefable probably. And also provides a shield, which Clefable doesn't do, and also provides crowd control with its ultimate move. Gengar. I would say Gengar is probably okay. And the reason for that is it's a poison type character. It can also be used in Ghost, which I guess is probably better than poison right now. Really, Gengar is between okay and good. Would I put it in good? Probably not. I'll leave it in okay for now. Intel has been a solid character. Just solid damage output. Has burst synergy, which is also really nice. Although, you don't really see Intel too much late game. It's still a really good early mid-game character, if you can find one. Absol has kind of fallen off a bit just because it's Dark type synergy. For that reason, it's going to put in okay. Espeon is really good because Espeon has Psychic type synergy, which has been significantly buffed this season. It basically gives your whole team mini choice scarfs, which is of course really nice, and it has really good damage output. Urshifu is a good character. Fighting synergy got some buffs this patch, and also Urshifu with ults has the potential to carry fights, especially if you can find a cover cloak and a drain crown for Urshifu, which is both pretty necessary items. Lapras is also really strong. It got buffed for some reason, even though it was already good last patch. Really solid healing, and also you have the option to go Perish Song to disrupt enemy front lines. So just a really good character. Tyranitar. I'm unsure about Tyranitar because Dark Synergy is not that good. However, Tyranitar with ult can still do damage. It's just a little bit hard because Dark Synergy is so weak right now. You usually don't have 60 sacks by the time you find a 2-star T-Tar. Although, I'm going to say it's good. It's still a solid character. It's just the synergy is a little bit weaker. Clefable. Clefable is amazing. One of the best healers in the game. Only next to Eldegoss. I would prefer Eldegoss marginally over Clefable. But Clefable also gives you Fairy Synergy, which Eldegoss doesn't. Snorlax. Definitely the weakest 4-cost character. It just doesn't do damage, and if you need something that tanks, well, there's better tanks with better synergies. Sylveon. I think Sylveon is probably just good. Really solid character late game, gives you fairy synergy. Not much to say. Hoopa is absolutely busted. Hoopa with Shadow Ball just prevents healing on the enemy team, which is always really helpful, and Hoopa ult is the only thing that can charge your entire team's move gauge, which is super strong. Gyarados. Gyarados did get some buffs this patch, but it's still just okay. I think Aqua Tail is the better move. However, Gyarados still has a somewhat weak ult compared to other 4-cost characters. And you usually only see it in Flying Synergy, but Flying Synergy is pretty hard to build. Okay, Dragonite. Dragonite is better than Gyarados. It's a good character, has really solid damage output, and also has a much better ult. Ho-Ho is completely overpowered. This thing literally wins every single game it's in, and the revive mechanic is just way too strong. Please nerf it. Rhydon. Rhydon, unsurprisingly, is also amazing. Just does way too much damage. Yeah, not much to say. Even 1-star Rhydon just destroys entire teams. Mewtwo. Mewtwo is probably the weakest out of the 5-cost characters, but it's still a decent character because it provides Psychic Synergy, and Mewtwo ults isn't bad either, so I'm going to leave it in good. Alright, there's the tier list. If you guys have any other questions, you can message me wherever you like. And if you want more Pokemon Unite Autochess content, I'll leave a link to my spreadsheet in the description. So until then, see y'all next time. Bye-bye.